Today and welcome to KM News Extra, everybody. I am Jason Salas, and you know that Socrates guy was pretty smart, and among the many wise things he said was, he once said, to know yourself is the beginning of wisdom, and it also helps if you love yourself a little bit because that is the key element. And to talk about this, we are talking about a self-love journey to your heart workshop, and we have here the very lovely Darlene Garcia and Dr. Annette Santos, and we are talking about this topic. Thank you for putting on this forum, by the way. Very necessary in our island community. So Happy New Year to both.
Happy New Year.
Wow, yeah. Perfect. And hopefully you will be as in sync in presenting the material at this workshop.
This is why we are going to be doing it together.
All right, one mind.
Yes.
The whole one Guam
Synergy.
concept. Yeah.
Synergy.
Okay, so what actually brought this about? Because this is the first event of its kind right now, right?
Right.
We've never had something like this before.
Yeah, so you know, it actually started from thinking about doing a grief talk, right? So if you've ever seen advertisements about the Grief Recovery Guam team doing grief talks, they actually did it over the holidays, and they were doing it like once a week or something like that. And so since I came back on island this month, they decided that they wanted to do a grief talks while I'm here, and then it evolved into, well, it's the new year. People are, you know, focusing on, you know, 2019 goals or resolutions, and what better way to start off than to do that by putting yourself first, right? And I've been on this self-love journey for about a year now. So my husband died 3 years ago, if you remember that. We talked about that. And so my journey started with really just grieving, like just a lot of fear, a lot of anger, a lot of identity crisis. And that's what kind of pushed me into the direction of, who am I now that he's gone? Like, I lost my identity.
You took a real existential approach. Right?
Right. And so, you know, it was such an amazing discovery of self-love and being able to offer that now to the world, right? It was just one of those things, and it gave me a lot of courage to do the things that I do today around grief, around helping others heal, whether it's death, or we talked about this a little bit earlier, you know, breakups, you know, I
lost the election. I was running for public office and I lost the election. No, and there's not, that is a form of grief right there. You set your mind on a goal, you put your heart and soul into it, and you really believe that you really want that, and then it doesn't happen. That is definitely grief, right?
Right, absolutely, it is. And so, you know, I'm here and I'm excited because I want to share what I've learned through my own journey of self-love. And I've known Annette for a while now. We're actually family.
Yes, we are.
And so, you know, I know...
And BFF, obviously.
Right.
You guys literally just finished each other's sentences earlier.
Yes.
But she's an amazing human being, and when we thought about, you know, who do we want on panel up there, right? I don't want it to just be my story, but I think it's important to get the island community out there and have a few other stories of people that are already practicing self-love, and she exudes that 100%.
Now, I would be delighted to hear, and I'm very curious, Doc, in hearing what you bring to the table with this topic, because again, like a lot of people on Guam don't know exactly the scope of grief, and they just say, if you've had somebody in your family die, that's obviously grief and everything. Right. But, you know, again, if you've been broken up with, if you have been laid off from your job and everything, some people are like, that's not grief. I shouldn't deal with it. Right. But you're actually telling them to almost open up their heart and their minds, right?
Right. So when I was asked by Dar and Michelle to be part of the panel, I thought, what could I offer to the grief recovery conference or talk, and I learned a lot about what grief recovery really is. It isn't just about the loss of a loved one. It really does span across different aspects of people's lives. Right. So what I'll be focusing on during this event is career and self-love. And when we think about our hopes and our aspirations in terms of our growth along our professional trajectories, we're going to come across some obstacles. And sometimes what we desire isn't what we get, like you indicated earlier. And so how do we cope? And how do we give ourselves slack for some of those goals that we fall short in, and maybe identify ways to redirect? So I want to talk about how self-love is important in that process. You know, there are masks that we wear on a daily basis, and everyone thinks, you know, I've heard this, you know, that we have it all put together and we must live a perfect life, but behind the mask that we wear, we're just a person. You know, we have a heart, and we have challenges, and how we how we bridge the gaps in those challenges and how we deal with those challenges, I think through our stories will help other people find ways to cope. So
catharsis and sharing empathy.
Right.
Too, and telling people like everything that you're going through, you're a regular person. This is something that a lot of people go through. You are not alone, correct?
Right,
Absolutely.
right.
Okay.
So an example would be everyone thinks that I have this, that I exude confidence in my workplace because of the work that I do.
You're a rock star. Come on.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But people don't know that I grew up being painfully shy. I could not utter a word to people. And it wasn't in my nature to go and talk to people and, to tell people that. They say, you're a social butterfly. I am not a social butterfly. It takes work.
Right, it does.
It takes work. And so,